so I'm gonna give it a try here. Let's see, am I holding this right?
Right here. Yeah.
Okay, right here.
Yep.
All right, so around the head, throw it. Woo, let's go. I'm gonna be practicing this a little bit more.
The energy is absolutely electric here in Greenville. The Gamecocks just made their way to the bus. We've got people still filled in this lobby. We've got cheerleaders, fans from all over the state, all over. We've got a fan here. His name is Kevin. Yeah. Kevin, tell us where you're coming from, how long you've been a fan. Yeah, I'm here on Hall Street, and you can see I am in standing water. This entire street was flooded last night. It's still flooded today, and I'm told by the mayor that it's going to take a few days to actually clear up this water, get it to dry. Since this afternoon, about 2, 3 o'clock, we've been seeing a steady flow of rain. You can see that on my jacket here, on my hat, it's coming down. And we spoke to emergency management officers here inside. They say this is the safest spot in Lexington County. And they mentioned that they have not got any reports yet for any downed trees, downed power lines. Yes, Andrea, I'm standing right here on I-20 in the westbound lane, and there is a lot of activity behind me. I'm gonna step out of the shot so you can see it. There's this huge truck here with a lot of loads of timber, and you can see this machine over here moving, this piece of equipment moving that piece of timber, and lots of crews over on either side of the bridge. When I was counting earlier, there were about 15 people out here. She also talked about the 8-year-old who now doesn't have a father or mother, and how that 8-year-old's life has completely altered now. And as the morning has gone on, we've seen more neighbors come out to this area to kind of just see what's been going on. Judge McCaslin sentenced Thomas McDowell to 2 consecutive life sentences. Now, this came after the guilty verdict by the jury. They came to that decision at around 3 this afternoon. I'm here at the Charleston Place Hotel, and we're seeing a lot of supporters trickle their way in. They made their way in about 6:45 this evening. They're all waiting on Nikki Haley. Now it seems like there are more like 30 to 40 of these people. All of the neighbors here on this street have told me they have not had water since 9 or 10 o'clock last night. You can see the scene behind me. There's yellow tape here, there are orange cones, and there's a big gaping hole in the ground there. This embankment, you can see the water has rushed up against it, and so it has created that edge, which is typically, you know, where the sand just lays. After 3 days of testimony, the jury got this case around 1:15 this afternoon and took roughly 2 hours to reach their verdict. The state spent the week trying to connect McDowell to this crime, and in the end, the jury sided with the state's version of events. Relief in court from the family of Jessica Gutierrez as the guilty verdict against her killer, Thomas McDowell, came down. From McDowell, little emotion as he learned his fate. Hours earlier, in closing arguments from the state, prosecutors focused on what they called key pieces of evidence. The first was Thomas McDowell's fingerprint on a window pane of the Gutierrez home, which they said was a match. The second was the defendant's change in appearance from long hair, a long beard, and cowboy hat to cut hair, a shaven beard, and no hat after Jessica was taken. This, they said, was important because the only witness to the crime, Jessica's sister Rebecca, said the kidnapper was wearing a magic hat back when she was 6 years old. And finally, a former cellmate of McDowell's said McDowell confessed about kidnapping and killing a 4-year-old girl while the two were in jail in North Carolina. The defense, though, said there was a lack of hard evidence linking him to the crime, as well as changing stories from witnesses, including Jessica's sister Rebecca. They said that McDowell, who was an ex-boyfriend of Jessica's mother, had no ill will toward the Gutierrez family. But after a short deliberation, the jury found him guilty. Moments later, he was in an orange prison jumpsuit. After today's verdict, Deborah Gutierrez, Jessica's mother, spoke to members of the media about how there's finally justice for her daughter.
I have waited for this day 38 years. It's been, Jessie turned 42 December 3rd of this past year. And I feel really blessed that the jury made the right decision because we took a bad man off the streets.
This puts a close on a case that was a notorious unsolved cold case in Lexington County that the community followed for decades. Investigators had announced in 2021 they were looking into the case again. Months later, they made an arrest, and now, 2 years after that arrest, Thomas McDowell is guilty of that killing. Rachel Ripp, News 19, WLTX.
I need to move my ladder.
Julia Boothman and her husband have lived in Charleston the past 3 years. So Tropical Storm Idalia wasn't anything new.
I felt like this was just more of really a tidal event. During Hurricane Ian, a lot more wind and swaying of trees.
But Wednesday night, water started to rise.
Up to our second step was water going over to the neighbors, and then Ashley has a tendency to flood, so it was flooded back in our backyard. As I like to say, my mulch was evenly distributed last night across my patio.
At the intersection of Ashley and South Battery, flooding is common. Now they're tidying up their front yard.
A few of them got a little knocked around, so we decided to redo our flower boxes.
They're basking in the sunshine after waves and waves of water from Idalia.
It's very cathartic. Feels good to be outside, honestly, after a hot summer.
Their Brittany Spaniel pups are enjoying the freedom of being outside too after being cooped up.
Scout Piper, come! Come on! Come on! Looky here. Looky here, hi.
Thankful it wasn't worse.
Is that your table? Hey, he's got that DoorDash.
For Jay Webb, the easiest way to love his neighbor is to serve them food.
All I'm doing is providing the place for this to take place.
He's adopted the Love Your Neighbor meal board just 2 months ago at his restaurant Highway 55 in Red Bank. He said he got the idea from his wife, who saw other restaurants around the country adopting the concept.
Someone tagged me in the post again, and I was like, that's it. We're going to do it. And so I shared that post on my social media, and it had something like 1,500 reactions.
So here's how it works. You pick something from the meal board, you pay for it, and it's taped to the meal board.
Someone who is down on their luck, short on money or homeless, can take a receipt from the board, bring it to the front, and get a meal for free. Webb says he's served about 1,000 free meals, and the board consistently has about 20 receipts a day.
More than you can count on your hands.
I had guys who own local businesses that said, hey, I'll buy the first 50 meals, I'll buy the first $200 in meals.
Locals like Sonia and Jay Poole try to donate a meal every time they come in for lunch.
Even a simple $10 meal, you don't realize what that's going to do for somebody. To think of somebody having to dig in a trash can because they can't afford to buy a meal. You know, it's $10 out of my pocket, it's not going to break me.
Webb says his goal is to upgrade the board and keep this going as long as he's in business.
Eventually, we're hoping that a meal turns into getting these folks off the streets, and not just off the streets and, you know, staying in temporary living, but employed, getting their GED if they need it.
For Street Squad Lexington, Rachel Ripp, News 19, WLTX. Young and old, everyone loves the Gilbert Peach Festival. And more so, they love preparing for it.
Yes, I need another container.
For recent Gilbert High School graduate Ellie Harmon, this is a family tradition.
I've been helping with the Peach Festival probably since I could walk, so it's kind of a family thing for us. My family runs the peach slush and peach tea stand.
This year, she's in charge of the peaches before they go into the freezer.
We'll start with some fresh peaches that we have donated from Titan Farms. We wash the peaches, we'll have some people will peel the peaches, and then we will chip the peaches, slice them, and we put some sugar on them. And then this is what I do here, stirring them all up with the sugar. And then we'll freeze them and then pull them back out on the 4th.
Her mother, Tammy, is the peach peeling organizer.
The Peach Festival is definitely the largest thing that happens in Gilbert. It's thousands of people it's amazing, from all over the country.
This group prepares 11 containers of peaches from 50 boxes in just a few hours. And that's not all the peaches they'll use. The day before the festival, July 3rd, they'll peel more peaches.
Betty Kraut is a veteran peach peeler. She's been helping with this big event for about 40 years. I asked her if there's any trick to the trade.
Nothing special. Everybody does their own thing, but I'm old-timey, so I don't waste any.
She loves the time she spends with other peelers and at the festival for the conversation and bonding.
I love to meet. I love people, so that's the way you get to meet lots of people, especially when you work a hot dog stand.
My favorite part about the Peach Festival is just seeing how our community comes together to, volunteer and give back.
Reporting for Street Squad Lexington, Rachel Ripp, News 19, WLTX.